Hello, welcome to another video. Today I'm going to be making the block stitch granny square. It'll be done in the blue and the white. There are obviously different colors you can use. I need a 4mm crochet hook, pair of scissors, darning needle. I prefer one that is sharp, which is actually called a tapestry needle. I'm using Knitting Essentials Baby. This color is blue, optic blue. It's a double knit, but it's quite a thick double knit. It's nice to work with. This is Knitting Essentials Sparkle yarn, white. They're from a UK shop called Poundland. I haven't worked away the tails because I want to do it later as a demonstration. I'm going to be using two different stitches. My terms are US terms. This is a compact granny square stitch in the blue. I have clusters of 3 double crochet with chain 1 in the corners. On the sides, clusters of 3 with no chain in between. You can see here, clusters of 3 with no chain in between. And the corner, chain 1. The sparkle row is a single crochet between each cluster on the sides, 2 single crochet in the corner, and there is always 3 chains between each single crochet, both on the sides and in the corner. 3 chains, and those rows are repeated for the required size. I use a magic circle to start, and the magic circle has a long tail. I do not close the magic circle until I'm finished the square, and then I can adjust the size. I don't want to pull it too tight because it will warp the center. So I leave a long tail, so when I work it away, I can really make sure that it won't come undone in the wash. I'll literally use all this to work it away. So let's get started. Starting with the plain color, I'm going to be making the magic circle. The magic circle, the tail is in the front, and the yarn I'm working with is in the back. Finger. This is not an instruction video on how to actually crochet. This is an intermediate video, so I'm assuming you know how to crochet. But just for the magic circle, I'm showing you what I'm doing. So I leave a long tail, finger, wrap it once around the finger, catch it with the other fingers. There we go. Insert the hook. Go and get my yarn, bring it back, and make the first chain. So that is my magic circle, and because I put the yarn in the front, I can pull it as I need. Here we go. Close it. I'm making the first double crochet stitch, which consists of 1 chain. That'll count as 1 double crochet stitch. Now I'm making a cluster. Cluster comprises of 3 double crochets, So I need 2 more to complete my cluster. Chaining 1 for the corner, turning, chain 1 for the corner, turning, fetch some more yarn. So completed that cluster of 3 double crochets, chain 1, turning, now I've come to the end. I just undo the tail a little bit, so later when I'm pulling it, it'll move freely. Give it a little tug the tail. Let me see, does it need? No, it's fine. Now, what I do here, this is just my personal preference. If you want it, you can cut the yarn, you can work it away, especially if you're changing color. But I'm not changing color, I'm actually going to be carrying this yarn up. So this is what I do. Once again, you can do it as you feel. I need to complete that corner, so I'm going to chain 1 to complete the corner. Then I'm going to go into the V created right at the beginning, and I'm going to be slip stitching it. So you see this cluster here, that first, which consisted of basically a chain, that first so-called double crochet is now where I'm attaching the yarn to complete my first row. Now what I'm doing is, as you can see, I've slip stitched it. I'm making it a bit bigger, and then I'm pulling my work through. Look, it's going through that loop and making a knot. I'll be leaving this yarn here, and I'll come back to it later on for the next row in blue. For now, I need to make a row in the glitter. You don't have to use glitter, I mean, one can use just a plain color. Now I'm going to be making a slip knot. For the slip knot, I make the tail to the back of my finger. So holding the yarn, wrapping it around, the slip knot, the tail is to the back. Putting a hook in there. See, I got basically holding the yarn in different ways. Let me do that again. Okay, catch the yarn with those fingers, thumb's holding the one in the front, go back, fetch the yarn and bring it through. Now because it's a slip knot, what I do is I let all the yarns go, so to speak, and I close that knot. And because the tail was at the back, it's the tail that actually decides the closure of the knot. See there? And that comes in very useful later on when you want to make that little loop smaller on the work. Pick up the work, choose a corner far away from the blue, go in, catch the yarn, and we're going to be making the first single crochet. There we go. Give it a little tug there, and now with a slip knot you can tug the yarn and it'll close that little loop there as well. So that is my first single crochet. I'm going to chain 3, 1, 2, 3, I'm going to go to the next corner, make a single crochet, chain 3, and in the same space, 'cause that's the corner, another single crochet, chain 3, go to the next corner, single crochet, chain 3, in the same space because that's a corner, single crochet, chain 3, go over to the next corner, just make sure I don't catch that blue, move it away, single crochet, chain 3, the same space, single crochet, chain 3, and now I'm back at the original corner, single crochet, chain 3, 1, 2, 3. Now here what I do is I do cut the yarn for every glitter row. Once again, it's personal preference. So I've chained 3 for the corner, and you have two options. You can either catch that and work it away. I am going to cut it, pull it through, and then I have the 2 darning needles. I take the sharp one called the tapestry needle. I try and catch the glitter with it. Through. What we need to do is we need to find out where that first single crochet is. There it is. There's my first single crochet stitch. I'm going to go into the top V of that, pull it through, come back to my chain, pull it through. The glitter does tend to catch a little bit. So now here we have different options of how to work this away. You can leave them and work them away later. That's an option. Or, because of this nice sharp needle, you can literally run along the top of your work. I just undo the strands as I go, see? The glitter can be a bit annoying. Let's actually cut this glitter away. If you're not using a glitter yarn, it's not a problem. But the glitter is gone. And I'm literally going to run along the top. It's a bit fiddly when it's this size. It's much easier when the rows are longer or bigger. I like to have a nice long tail. Go quite far. Remember, this is if it's a blanket or something, it's going to be wash and worn. You don't want your little squares to come loose. And make sure also that you're not pulling that tail too much, which will warp your work. There we go. Now if the square is big, then when you're working away your 2 tails, there'll be a lot of space. In this case it's really small, so you see when I work that away I'm actually going to be going over the same. So I want to show you a different way of doing it. Here we go. You wait until you've finished your project, and then you come back, unravel a bit, and you come back and you work your tails away. There's the little slip knot that you started with. Go around underneath, come up through that slip knot. Whoops, that wasn't a very good demonstration. Let me try that again. Come up underneath the work, come up through the slip knot, hold the slip knot with your thumb, give it a good tug, and then you work into what I call the worm. It's basically the base of all those double crochet stitches. Can be working across. and weave it. Go into this worm, it's a smaller worm. And you want to go as far as possible. Takes a bit longer, but once again, as I said, your work won't come loose in the wash then. First put your needle in place, then you thread the yarn. There we go. Nice sharp pair of scissors. And that's another way of working them away, which means you'd wait till the end before you work them away. As you see, I've done quite a few rows. I haven't turned every one. I made a mistake here, but it's not serious. Those two are the same. Those two are the same. Has its own little personality, this square. Sharp, untwist. You're working in the same direction as the tail. You can see where the magic circle goes. Don't work in the, if you work that way, it'll literally undo your whole work. So put it through there, the first one. Close it off nicely, and you will go round and round. You're probably saying, why am I showing you this now? Why aren't I showing you this at the end of the video? Because I want you to look at the different ways of working away tails. You can decide, are you going to work them away as you're working, or are you going to come back later? Because the way that you work away your tails does affect the choices you make in, first of all, the length of your tail. Oh, that was not nice. Okay, I think that's good enough for now. I'll work away even some more. I want to get as far as possible, but you're getting the general idea. So this tail I will leave, and then I'll come back and I'll work him away. As the work gets bigger, it's so much more practical to literally carry it across. So you can see which one it is, this one here. So I'll just snip him. So now he's gone. So sorry about that. Maybe I've lost some of you, maybe I haven't. I want to turn the work simply because it will prevent my squares from warping. The way that I crochet, my granny squares do warp. So I do prefer, if when possible, to turn the work. But before I do, because the yarn is at the back, go and fetch him. Now I'm going to turn the work and make the first double crochet. There we go, it's basically a chain up. Then I'm going to make the next double crochet right over that, literally on top of that. And so that will anchor it in place. I'm now working into the corner, so there will be 2 clusters, each one consisting of 3 double crochets, and there will be a chain between the 2 clusters of 3 double crochets. I do not chain here because the sides of my work, there are no chains between the clusters. So I'm going straight into the corner, 3 double crochets to make that cluster, chain 1, 3 double crochets, and these are all into the spaces created by the glitter yarn. So there's lots of space to maneuver in because there are chain 3 in each one, so you can be quite generous with your spacing. I'm going into the next cluster. There is no chain on the sides, between the clusters. I go straight into the next cluster, which consists of 3. Come to the corner again, so it's a cluster of 3 double crochet, chain 1, and 3 double crochet. I'm on the side, go straight into the next cluster, corner, corner consists of 3 double crochets, chain 1, and another 3 double crochets. Side, three double crochet, corner, three double crochet, I've come back to the beginning of this row. I have already completed 2 double crochets, the first one consisting of the chain, and then the next one, which was a double crochet. So in that space I'll be making the 3rd double crochet. It's a little bit loose, make a decent one. There we go, 3rd double crochet, and then at the top of that chain there is a little V. We'll be going into that V and making a slip knot, making the loop larger, pulling my work through the loop and closing to make a little knot. Give it a good nice tug. As you can see, he's sitting in between the 2 of them. Now I'm going to be going back to the white glitter. This is actually an ideal time to change colors. For demonstrations, I'm just going to use the white. I'm making a slip knot, which means the tail goes to the back. Catch it with my fingers, hook underneath, go and fetch the yarn, keep it on my hook, let go. There is my slip knot. Close my slip knot. Find a place away from the blue. And I prefer to work into the sides, but personal preference, you can work into the corners if you want. I'm going into the side. Make the first loop. It's my first single crochet, going through both of them, remember. Now I can pull that yarn at the back there, make that slip knot nice and snug. Chain 1, 2, 3. Go into the space created between the clusters of the blue row. Make a single crochet, chain 3, go to the corner, single crochet, chain 3, and in the same space, single crochet, chain 3, Go over to the space between the clusters of the blue row, single crochet, chain 3. Just make sure this blue yarn doesn't get caught up in the work. Go over to the space between the clusters, the blue row, make a single crochet, chain 3. Now back at the next corner, single crochet, chain 3, single crochet, chain 3, single crochet, chain 3, single crochet, chain 3, single crochet, chain 3. It's corner, so in the same space, I make a single crochet, chain 3, single crochet, chain 3, single crochet, chain 3, get some more yarn, single crochet, chain 3, it's corner, so in the same space, single crochet, chain 3. I'm now at the beginning of the row, and I'll be cutting the yarn, so holding the yarn as it was when I was working, cut the yarn off, pull it through, sharp needle, thread it through, top of the single crochet, there's a V, go into the V, pull it snugly, go back into the top of those 3 chains, it's nice and neat, come back and anchor it. I'm breaking into the yarns, into the fiber, really making it nice and secure, and then unwind the fibers. This is a glitter one, I'm going to cut it away. Simply because it becomes a bit of a pain. And then working along. Keeping sure that it's not too loose, not too tight. Respecting the tension of the work. See, it's pulling a bit, isn't it? Don't want it to pull. That's why sometimes it's easier to work these tails away when the work is complete. The last thing you want is to deform your work. Cut that off. And what you can do is you can come back at the beginning of where you started the row, and you can do the same with the other side. So there's your knot. I don't go straight up. What I do is I actually wrap it around the previous row, pull the knot into place. Then I go up. Now what I did was I cut the tail off, and I don't know which way I was going. So there's the tail, that side. So I need to go in the opposite direction. If I hadn't cut the tail off of the white, I could have seen where it was. So you see I didn't cut off the glitter, and it's catching, it goes unwind it a bit. If I'm watching TV and I'm doing this, I will leave the tails until the end, and I'll come and sit at my desk here where I am now, and I'll work the tails away, simply because when I'm watching TV I want to be crocheting and not working tails away. So I'm just showing you different ways of doing it. Some people dread working tails away, and so they'd rather do it as they are doing the project. So here, as you can see, I have alternated the direction of the work. In this one I made the mistake. You can see the direction of the work is the same. Once again, it's a personal preference. If you like that look, then that's what you will do. You always make sure that that's the front and that's the back. If you are worried that you are going to not remember which is the front and the back, you can always put a little stitch marker. Let's see if I can see one. I don't know where my stitch markers are. Okay, let's just pretend this is a stitch marker. So you'd have a stitch marker in place like this. So you'd always know where the front of your work is. Especially if you're working with a dark color, or you in a place where you're not really fully concentrating. You know, if you don't want to make the mistake of actually having one of your rows in the wrong way, it might irritate you a lot to see that afterwards. Then just put a stitch marker in place. So there is my yarn. I'm going to go and fetch him. Okay, pull them through. But because I'm changing direction, I'm just going to pull him through. Make a little loop. There he is. Change direction. And chain one. That's my first double crochet. And in the same space, I'm making another double crochet. Be my second double crochet. And then when I'm finished the row, I'll come back and make the third double crochet in there. He's a little bit loose, so I think I'm going to make this second one a little bit tighter, a little bit more body. There we go. If you don't like the fact that it's in the middle, which right now I do not like, then there's your V's down at the bottom there. Come in, take that like that. Now you see he's on the side there. You're actually going to move him. Now he's literally on the side. You're going to move him. See how he's snug in there? There we go. Come up. See how he's now snug on the side? And what I'll do is I'm going to put two double crochets in there. And when I come back, the other cluster will be behind him. You have all to find the one that suits you and the way that you like it, the way it looks. See, here's the row before. You can see I've stepped up there. But he's on the side, so he's sitting nice and snug there. So I'm going to make two double crochets into here. I'll push them right across. Once again, personal preference, whatever way you want to do it. Now, I'm not necessarily going to explain how to do this row because you've been following me with the previous. Just remember that there's no chains between the clusters on the side. There's only one chain in the corner. And we can go quite quickly. And I'll meet you at the end of this row. chain one in the corner, oops, I pinch that chain 3. I do the corners, because I want my corners to flare, and I make my chain fairly small. It doesn't have to be a generous chain. Try to keep a good tension when I'm working the corners. Now I've actually noticed I do a little bit of a pinch the base of the clusters. We all have different crocheting styles, and I think I don't really notice sometimes when I'm working. It's only when I make a video that I notice my technique. So there's like I'm actually literally pinching the space the chain creates, chain 3 of the glitter row. I hadn't noticed that before. Okay, so I've come to the end of this blue row, and because, whoops, crazy, we did that last one again. Because I have made 3 stitches in this first cluster, 2 of them double crochet, and then of course the chain up. And it's not a corner, so I'm not going to chain. I'm going to go straight into the top V of that chain up stitch there, and it's a slip stitch. As you remember, slip stitch, we go straight all the way through. I open up that loop and pass my work through, and pinching the base of the work, make a nice tight knot. Look at that. I'm very, very happy with this. It's a fairly thickish double knit, and with a 4mm it gives a nice thick work. So as a blanket it should be nice and warm. This is an even thicker one. It's sold as a double K, but it's not a chunky, but it's really, really thick. I think that is enough of a demonstration. If you have any doubts, you can just rewind to see the beginning rows, the earlier rows. Now it's just a matter of working the tails away. So I'll cut that off, and I'll work the tails away. If it was my last row, I don't make a knot. I make an invisible V. But if I wanted to make it larger, I'll just continue. So how do I make a visible V? Let me just show you. It means I need to undo this knot here. So let me just go and undo that last stitch. How do I make an invisible V? So I make my last double crochet stitch, and what I'll do is I'll cut the yarn, and then I'll pull it all the way through. Thread this through, Once again, I use a sharp needle, tapestry needle, and I use the back of it. I go into that top V there. Pull it through like that. Now, as you can see, it's made a little loop. You can pull it tight. If you really don't want to pull it tightly, what you can also do is, and this is just to follow the design of stitches, crazy how stitches work. You see, you'll go like that. If you don't want him to be making a big gap like that, see, there's a gap there, but it's not a big gap. What you can always do is you can jump right across to the next one, and that'll close that gap. Once again, it's up to you, it's personal preference. If you really want to imitate this side here, you'll just catch the bottom of it and you'll come across. And you'll work your way down. Just undo your thread. Work your way across. Go back up. Keep unraveling each time. Unravel the yarn that's in your needle. Come down. Just love these sharp needles. Go back up. And we're coming down to the large worm in the corner, which is fantastic. And you pull it all the way through. Cut them off. And then you really can't see where your work was. It really depends on the size. So what size is this? Whoops, the size that you're looking for. This is a fairly small little square. He's 8 centimeters. He's, I might say, 3 1/4 inches. Give him a good tug now. You can block him. Wash him and then block him if you want. Especially if you can be working him with different squares, you want to make sure that all those stitches are nicely open, because you can get his genuine size. Once you've pulled them, you'll work away that center. Going round and round, and then really working up the tail all the way up and down and everything. I hope this video has been instructive. I hope that you've enjoyed it and that you've learned something. And I'll find you in the next video. Bye then.